Every morning that week, I'd walk out my front door, coffee in hand, ready to face my new job, my new life, only to find my own driveway blocked by a shiny black SUV that wasn't mine. Never was. HOA violation notices stuck to my front door like wanted posters, each one signed off by people I'd barely met. On Thursday, I called the police for the first time in my life, right in front of the neighbors, my voice shaking with anger and humiliation. And it was all because of a piece of paper I never signed, one that, to my shock, had the bold signature of our HOA president, Linda Tate. You know, you spend years working for a dream, scraping together savings, checking Zillow like it's your full-time job, picturing backyard BBQs and lazy Sundays with the dog. And then you land a little piece of it. I'd just closed on my first home, a tidy 2-story in a place called Willowbrook Estates, where every mailbox is freshly painted and there are more lawn signs about HOA meetings than there are about lost pets. I thought I'd made it. Turns out, the real test of adulthood is not the mortgage or the taxes. It's your first run-in with a woman named Linda Tate. 50-something, stiff blonde hair, always wearing a navy blue cardigan, HOA badge front and center. The first time I met her, I was still unpacking boxes, sweating in gym shorts, when she just showed up at my porch, clipboard in hand, smile tight enough to crack glass. "Morning, I'm Linda, president of Willowbrook Estates HOA. Just wanted to be the first to say welcome. And by the way, let's talk about your driveway," she chirped. There's a tone certain people use, the one that says, "I'm here to help, but mostly I'm here to tell you how things work." I blinked, half expecting a fruit basket, but all she had was paper. Before I could ask, she explained, "It's about the overnight parking. Your driveway's been used as community overflow since before you bought it." The previous owner agreed, and I have it in writing right here. She flourished a wrinkled photocopy, some scribbled signatures on the bottom. I glanced at the paper. It looked more like a school field trip form than a contract. I tried to keep it friendly, told her I didn't agree to that, and I need to get out early for work. Linda shrugged, sipping her coffee, as if my concern was an ant crawling across her deck. "Well, Jason, in Willowbrook, we look out for each other. I'm sure you'll get used to how we do things." She turned on her heel and left, like the matter was settled. I stood there dumbfounded, driveway already invisible beneath her SUV. It didn't end there. The next morning, I found my car boxed in, and a bright yellow violation slip fluttering on my door. "Failure to comply with HOA community parking. Fined $50. I hadn't even learned all my neighbors' names, but apparently I'd already broken the law. When I called the HOA number listed, I got Tom, secretary, Linda's right hand, who sounded like he was reading from a script. "Rules are rules, Mr. Miller. Linda has documentation. If you have issues, attend the next HOA meeting." I asked, "Tom, how can I get my own car out if someone's always blocking my driveway?" He paused, like I'd just asked why water was wet. "That's what the overflow's for, Jason. We're all about sharing here." Then he hung up. Let me tell you, nothing makes you feel quite as powerless as being locked out of your own property, while people who don't even know your birthday treat your front lawn like community real estate. I tried talking to the neighbors, mostly small talk, mostly awkward. Most just smiled nervously and excused themselves. But Bill, old guy at the corner, patted my shoulder and said, "You're not the first. Linda's been running this place like her private club for years. Most just give in." I started noticing how the HOA crew, Linda, Tom, and Nancy, the treasurer, moved as a pack. They'd stroll the street in the evenings, stopping at lawns with a measuring tape or snapping photos of mailboxes that weren't up to code. I caught them in my yard one day, measuring the width of my driveway and jotting notes. I walked outside, tried to sound polite, and asked, "Is there a problem?" Linda didn't even look up. "Just making sure community guidelines are being followed, Jason. Your driveway's in a prime spot. Really helps out when we have guests or need extra space." My voice cracked. I was so frustrated. "It's my only spot. I paid for this house. I need to be able to use my own driveway." She just smiled. "That's the spirit, neighbor. Community over self, right?" That week was hell. I started dreading coming home, not knowing if my place would be blocked, or if I'd have a new violation or another smug little note about Willowbrook unity. They even put up a temporary community parking sign at the end of my drive one Saturday while I was out. I tore it down the second I saw it, heart thumping, half expecting Linda to pop up out of a bush. Then came the real breaking point. One morning, I'd had enough. I had to be across town by 8, and of course, Linda's SUV was parked right behind mine, blocking any chance of escape. I knocked on her door, but nobody answered. I called Tom, got voicemail. My hands were shaking. That was the day I called the cops. I'll never forget the way people came out of their houses, peeking through curtains, kids on bikes circling to see what the commotion was. The police officer pulled up, blue lights flashing, like I was the criminal. Linda finally emerged, bathrobe and all, keys in hand, voice dripping with fake surprise. "Oh, Jason, you could have just knocked, dear. No need to cause a scene." The officer looked between us. I explained, tried to keep my voice even. He asked for proof, so I pulled up the property deed and all the paperwork showing that driveway belonged to my house, not to Willowbrook or anyone else. Linda flashed her worn-out contract, but the cop barely glanced at it. "Ma'am, unless you've got a court order or easement on record, this is Mr. Miller's private property. You can't block his access. If it happens again, it'll be ticketed or towed." Linda turned redder than a fire truck. Neighbors watched from behind their storm doors, nobody saying a word. The cop walked back to his car, and I swear I could feel the air shift. Like the HOA spell had been broken, just a crack. That night, there was a new kind of tension on Willowbrook Drive. I got emails from Nancy about escalating hostilities and a strongly worded letter from Tom warning me I was jeopardizing neighborhood harmony. But there were cracks in the wall. Bill gave me a thumbs up from his porch, and one of the younger couples even texted me, "Good for you, man. Someone had to say it." I started digging deeper. I checked the city records, pored over the HOA's own bylaws with help from my friend Megan. She's a paralegal, loves a good fight. She laughed when she saw Linda's so-called contract. Not worth the paper it's printed on. No notary, no city stamp, no transfer clause. They've just been bullying everyone with tradition. With Megan's help, I wrote a formal letter to the HOA, attached all my proof, cited the actual city ordinances, and copied in the city's housing office. I let them know, in writing, that if my driveway was blocked or I received another bogus fine, I'd be filing a harassment complaint and pursuing legal action. Suddenly, the tone changed. Nancy stopped emailing. Tom started avoiding me at the mailbox. The next HOA meeting, I showed up with a folder full of documents and my phone out, ready to record. Linda tried to start with her usual, "Welcome, neighbors," but her eyes kept darting my way. When it came time for community questions, I stood up, heart pounding so hard I thought I might faint, and read out loud from the city code. Nobody interrupted. Nobody cheered, but I saw heads nodding. Even the folks who used to side with Linda shifted in their seats. A week later, the HOA sent out a mass email, bland and lawyered up, stating that the use of private driveways for community parking is discontinued, effective immediately, pending review. No apology, of course, but the message was clear. My driveway was mine again. And Linda? She lost more than just a parking spot. The city started an audit on HOA fines and past violations. Turns out I wasn't the only one with grievances. Tom quietly stepped down. Nancy went radio silent. At the next election, someone else ran for president. Linda didn't even show up. Now, when I walk out my door in the morning, my driveway is empty. Sometimes I still expect to see that black SUV parked right behind my bumper, but all I see is sunlight and my own set of tire tracks. Linda passes by on her evening walks, never looking up, never waving. That's fine. I didn't move here for the neighborhood politics. I just wanted my own slice of quiet. Funny thing is, everyone in Willowbrook seems friendlier now. Folks wave from their yards. Bill and I chat over the fence. I still get the occasional HOA notice, but it's about holiday decorations or trash cans, not threats about my own home. So here's what I've learned. If you don't stand up for what's yours, there's always someone willing to take it. And sometimes, that someone wears a cardigan and wields a clipboard like a sword. But in the end, the law is on your side, as long as you're willing to fight for it.